Welcome everyone. I appreciate you all taking the journey and coming here to California. Quick introduction, Christoph Schell. I'm German, so you might hear this in my accent, okay? I've joined Intel approximately 1.5 years ago, a little bit longer. And I lived in Asia for many years. I spent time in Singapore. I also lived in Australia for a couple of years and visited pretty much all the countries. So I know all your countries that you're coming from, okay? And I've done business there and also had the pleasure of holidaying in most of them. So I really like Asia a lot. This event for us is very important because it's a focused event for our developers. The way I want you to think about Intel is how I think about Intel. I think we're a company that is selling a system, that is making a system available to our customers. And that system constitutes of three elements. Okay? It has silicon, it has software, and it has engineering services. And when I look into how we drive impact for our customers, impact in the ecosystem, it's across those three vectors. When I joined Intel, it was very interesting for me to see that Intel has over 18,000 software developers in the company. It just is a huge number. There are software companies at scale that have less software engineers than Intel, okay? So just the silicon, and you heard a lot about silicon in Pat's keynote speech, you heard about 5 nodes in 4 years. Silicon alone will not bring the magic to life, okay? So you do need software and you do need engineering services that come on top. And my organization, we call it SMG, inside Intel it stands for Sales and Marketing Group. We are basically responsible for all sales. We're responsible for product management of the products that are in the market. We manage marketing, we manage communications, and we also manage customer support. We do this globally. What is super exciting is the strategy that we are on. I think you know us historically from our CPU business, okay, the business that we have in the PC landscape and also in the server and data center landscape. You know the Xeon products. You know us on the IoT side of things. You know our vertical offerings that we have, for example, in telco, okay. But I think all of this is great. What I really enjoy doing a lot right now is kind of bringing the fourth business to life, and that is our foundry service. Okay, Intel forever has been manufacturing wafers for our own consumption. Okay, transferring these wafers into silicon, into semis for these three businesses that I talked about. What we decided when Pat came back was that we will open our foundry also for other companies to get access to wafers and then to, with our help, design products. And that in itself is a big decision. The second big decision we took is that we will open capacity around the globe, okay? And by doing that, help democratize supply chains, be able to manufacture products and wafers closer to our customers, and to help them to innovate with us, but innovate with us close to where they operate and close to where their customers are. And the interesting piece of all the Intel people that you see in the room right now is we are selling something that not only has not been manufactured very often, but very often we haven't even started to build the factory. Okay, so I just came back from a 2-week trip in Europe. One of the countries where we made a commitment to build fabs is in my home country, in Germany. And so, we haven't even started to build that factory, but we're talking to customers about the possibilities of what can we manufacture in Europe, what can we package in Europe, which vertical industries should be of interest, and what can we offer. Okay, and you heard Pat today on stage talk a lot about not just silicon and software and engineering. You heard him talk about packaging, and that packaging feature is something that Intel is really very good at, and where we get a lot of interest from customers about how to package really leading nodes, okay, and how can we build systems on a chip, SoCs, with really advanced nodes and make that work for our customers. A lot of them like this idea of a chiplet design where they can contribute to individual chiplets. Some of our customers actually have started to hire their own silicon design teams. They're working on chiplets and they're asking us, can you help us package it? Can you help us connecting it? We talked about UCIe as a software standard. So there's a lot of debate and a lot of collaboration that we have with potential customers around packaging. And last comment from me, if you then look at how is Intel doing today from a packaging point of view, I think we're really leading. And I think we're going to keep that leadership. The Glass product that you saw on stage today is just one of the ideas that will help us to stay really innovative and to keep leadership when it comes to packaging as a function, if you want, within the value chain that we are creating. So I'll stop there, but it's just to give you a bit of I think a cut through all the things that my team and I are doing for Intel.
Can you tell us how the relationship with ARM came about, and like who approached who, and how awkward was it?
So I will not specifically talk about this relationship just because I can't. But I think what you will see is that, and Nick, this is for me, it's an interesting situation. On the one hand side, I'm selling products of Intel, CPUs, GPUs, software products. And on the other hand side, I'm making wafers and designs available to some of my competitors on that other side. Okay, so it's a bit of it's an interesting situation. When I go into a call or into a meeting, I always pause for a couple of seconds and I ask myself, okay, what hat am I wearing now? Okay, so it's interesting, it's super interesting. But I think the way, if you really lean back a little bit and you pause, the way that this industry, the technology has been working, has always been a bit of a frenemy relationship between some of the product companies and technology companies. And your example with ARM, I think, is just one of them. For us, our objective is to be the second largest foundry globally, okay, when we are all said and done with this. And the only way to get there is not through our own consumption. That is important, it's an important element, but we need to attract some of our competitors to get us there from a volume point of view. We looked at this, and Pat looked at this strategy when he joined Intel again, and basically he concluded, there's three possibilities for us. We can either be a foundry at scale, which requires us to attract some big competitors of ours as well, and to trust that we can work together and that we have leading technology, or we can be a foundry that operates at niche level. The problem is we are already too big on our core business to operate at niche level, or we can be dead. Okay, so these are the three possibilities we have, and he clearly decided, okay, we're going to go all in, and we're going to create a system foundry, okay, with a diversified geographical footprint. And yes, we will maybe enable some of our competitors on the product side, but that's cool, that's okay. If they are successful and we can participate through foundry, that's great. And I would view the ARM relationship, like other relationships as well, under this definition. Good.
Any other question?
Yes.
In Pat's keynote speech, we know Intel have great partnership with Acer, especially in the AI PC. What do you think about the market penetration rate of AI PC would be, especially from 2024 to 2025?
Mm-hmm. So you're now talking about a category, an industry that I know really well. So I have been in the PC business for 25 years. And I think, before I talk about Acer specifically, I think the industry goes through waves. There are innovation cycles, okay? And sometimes on top of these innovation cycles, you have demand cycles as well. Like the COVID years, clearly there was no innovation that was specific, but you had a demand cycle, and the demand cycle was all around working and learning from home, okay? And all of a sudden, the total addressable market, the size of the market, went from, I think it was 248,000 units, 248 million units, sorry, that were consumed prior to COVID to 360 million units that were consumed, and probably could have been higher than 360 million units, but there were not enough match sets, there were not enough components to enable the industry. And then after COVID, you saw that that was tapping off again. Okay, so the market size went back, and we are now in a pattern where we actually require for there to be innovation to see growth in the market. This innovation can come through different means. Okay, it can come through silicon innovation. Okay, making PCs more powerful. I've seen this in the last 25 years. I've seen innovation come through changes in operating system. Okay, and I think if you follow Microsoft and the Windows release, you will see different sizes of different value of market size based on when innovation came in, and then very irregularly you see innovation that is driven by core functionality that changes, okay, and core capabilities. And I think Pat on stage today, he talked about Centrino, okay, in the late 90s, and how that combination of a CPU and the access to Wi-Fi all of a sudden created a lot of demand and a lot of upgrade cycle. So these innovation, these big waves of innovation are much more irregular than the ones I was talking about before. We believe, and I believe, that AI has the potential to be one of these bigger changes. Okay, we have to see. It's all in the eye of the customer. But I do believe that what we've shown today on stage were just a couple of examples how AI will impact our daily lives, and how you will not require, as a consumer, to have access to an AI solution in the cloud or an AI solution on the edge, how you can actually get it done on your PC, on your client device. That will drive, from a capability point of view, hopefully an upgrade cycle. Okay, people will want to get to really powerful PCs and laptops like the one you saw on stage today, and that is super compelling for an industry that is operating at scale and is waiting for innovation to fuel growth. And I do believe that with Meteor Lake, the product that we're launching now in the fall, that Intel will have the first silicon product that is actually enabling AI use cases on the client. I think Pat talked about this. He talked about what is new on the silicon product. And then if you look at our roadmap, you saw Lunar Lake on stage. That will be the one after Meteor Lake. That will just, raise the bar even further from an AI performance point of view. So I think, if you're in the market today and you're looking to upgrade your PC, you will almost naturally gravitate towards AI and towards AI use cases. You will then have to check what's the real performance of the PC that I'm looking at, that I have maybe already at home or at my work, and then how you're going to upgrade. And I think the story that Intel will be able to tell with Meteor Lake is going to be very powerful. So our team, the people in the room here, we're working on, okay, now the launch is coming. We want to get orders. We want to be ready for the holiday business, okay? That is really starting from a retail point of view in the US around Thanksgiving already. So we need to start shipping. And we want to be there for holiday, but then definitely for the year 2024. We want to see if we can scale that market, okay? We can't do it by ourselves. We need partners. I talked a little bit about Microsoft, obviously a very important partner from an OS point of view, but also with the Copilot work they're doing. We need partners on the go-to-market side, and our OEMs are super important. Our channel partners are super important. And you saw one of our OEMs on stage with us today. Acer has always been very focused on driving these big innovation cycles that I was just referencing. They're quite good at that, okay? Quite good at embracing the engineering challenges and bringing that to life. And I think, sometimes when we look at these OEMs, we only see the box, we see the laptop. But the work that they've been doing, the software-related work, is actually quite strong. And so, Acer was one use case. There are many other use cases out there. I'm in particular interested to see how this is going to fuel productivity in the education segment, but also in the B2B, in a business, in a commercial environment. A lot of the use cases you saw on stage today were consumer, but I actually think that it will create a lot of productivity gains, even on AI on the client in a commercial enterprise environment. So that's what I think where you will see that how enterprises will spec the PCs and laptops that they're going to buy, that is going to change. You will find more AI features. And so if we meet again a year from now, I will be able to tell you exactly how many RFQs have been out there where AI has been a key part of the specification. Today it's none, it's zero. I think a year from now it will be massive.
I would like to build on the question in your answer as well. So you talked about the Centrino kind of scale that happened in the past.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at for AI to happen as well. But what is your part and how will you educate consumers and end users? Will there be a new program, new logo? How is this going to surface to the end users?
Yeah, look, I think what is important is we need to explain our potential customers how technology is going to impact them. Okay, so yes, to think about how we brand this, okay, in order to make it easier. But from a marketing and from a go-to-market point of view, this is all about showing outcomes that our customers can drive. And what is very interesting here is that when you drive outcomes, very often your business model has to change as well. So it's not just making the technology available and branding that technology, but also maybe thinking about, hey, if a customer of mine wants to achieve something, should I just give them the pieces and let them play? Or should I be part of reaching the outcome and participating also in the outcome? It's something that we're looking at for AI in particular at the cloud level and at the edge level, where we are having discussions with some of our customers to co-invest, where we are talking about sell with and sell through capabilities that we are enabling in the data center space. We have situations where we will buy back instances that are powered by Intel, but we will actually resell those instances. These are all go-to-market innovations that, to me at least, are as important as the technology innovations. And so being creative about business modeling, shaping new engagements with customers, that's what my team and I are here to do. And you will see that obviously across everything that we do. We will obviously see it on the client side, but actually I feel that the business model disruption that is happening at the edge and in the cloud is really going to be very meaningful. So more to come on that, but we're actively talking to customers, and we've started to have the first pilots in place, let me call it that. But it comes back to what I said earlier. We're selling a system of silicon, software, and engineering services. Our business model has to evolve. Our business model has to embrace all three pillars, not just the silicon pillar.
So what do you think about the global economic slowdown, and does it bring any challenge or any advantage to Intel for the consumer or for the commercial segment? And so AI computing, exactly AI silicon, is one of your main solutions for the occasion.
Okay, so firstly, I mean, the economic slowdown globally is real. Okay,
yeah.
And I think I touched a bit on this when I talked about the market size just in PCs, how that has shifted from the COVID years to now. I also think that the same is true for other segments of the market. I think that the edge demand has slowed down. IoT is typically a segment of our market that is very directly linked to GDP development. We have a lot of small and medium-sized customers in there that have to adjust how they invest. And then cloud, I think we know that in the cloud, two things really have happened. Number one, some enterprise customers have actually stopped migrating to the cloud, okay, because they have to manage budgets. But then you also have seen a shift within cloud from CPU to GPU, okay, as some of our customers really are going all in on AI and large language training models, and I'll come back on that in a second. So I think we in the last 12 months and since I joined Intel, we were managing that dip, okay, and I think we've been quite transparent of how we see the future. And I think Pat talked about this a couple of weeks ago at an investor conference. how we're looking for the current quarter. I think what is going to be interesting is I feel that AI can be this moment that lifts all boats. Okay, so I think that AI will fuel our PC business going forward, and I think Meteor Lake is going to be a very powerful value proposition for Intel to participate at AI at a client level. Gaudi 2 is a great value proposition for customers that are looking at large language models and want an alternative to NVIDIA. It's based on a non-proprietary software stack, okay, which some of our customers have learned is important, okay, because when you commit to a proprietary software stack, there's a lot of dependencies that you have. There are limitations of what you can access. There's also cost, and so we are working hard to be an alternative, but NVIDIA has done a great job carving out an AI value proposition that is strong for these large language models. I do believe that mid to long term, the real demand for AI will be an edge demand. Okay, I do believe that the compute will happen on the edge. If I look at my funnel today, the biggest part of our funnel is not cloud-based, it's edge-based. It is a lot of companies that want to train their enterprise proprietary data and then inference on that data. Why is that? It's because of data integrity. They know the data, it's theirs, okay? They've generated it. And so I think the best use case to make this visible to you is, we talked about this during Vision in Taiwan. We talked about the fact that we have a customer, Boston Consulting Group, that approached us and asked us to train their proprietary data. Train their proprietary data, and we did that. Okay, we trained their proprietary data, and basically in the past, their consultants had a search engine. When they, for example, went into a project with any customer, let's say it was a digital transformation project, and they typed digital transformation into the search engine, hundreds of thousands of documents, came up because they had PowerPoints, they had Word documents, they had emails, they had PDFs of the last 50 years since they have been working on digital transformation. So, did it really help a consultant to narrow down and to get a summary of what they've been doing? No. Okay. So we trained that model for them, and that inferencing that they were then able to do basically helped the consultants to gain access to the database of structured and unstructured data much more quickly, okay? And by doing that, they basically were able to significantly reduce time on internal research, on what data do they have already, what best practices do they have, and by doing that, we increased productivity. So I think this is an example that you can take into any company, or you could take it into your companies, okay? And you could basically start thinking about, if I train all the data that I have, all the publications that you and your colleagues have done over the last 20 years, how would I access that data? Okay, if it was a really trained model, if it was an AI-generated model. And so now, if you then start thinking about this from a technology point of view, for many customers of mine, all your companies, and you are actually in the data business, you generate data, you generate content. But how big is it? Are we talking about hundreds of billions of data points? Probably not. Okay, we're probably talking about, I don't know, the sweet spot I think is between 3 to 15 billion. Okay, and then it becomes interesting, because if you want to train inference data models that are between 3 to 15 billion, maybe 50 billion, what infrastructure do you need for that? Do you need a GPU? Can you do it on a CPU? If you do it on a CPU, your total cost is going to be significantly lower. Do you want to do that on a software stack that is proprietary? Do you want to do it on an open software stack? So maybe you can get some developers. Maybe you have developers in your companies that can do it. So these are all questions that my customers are asking. I think these are the right questions to ask. Not everybody has a large language model that they need training. Very often these models are a lot smaller. And I think there's a lot of hype around AI, and I like it, okay, because it fuels discussion, it fuels demand. But for us and for me, as I think about where this is going to, I think it will go to edge and client. It will go to proprietary data. It will be a mix of GPU and CPU. And I think it will be on non-proprietary software stacks. And so we are in this for the long run. This is a marathon, okay? And we are all in. But I think to your question, AI will be the one event where all boats will rise. But it will take a little bit of time.